welcome back to another video. My name is Nash, and today I'll be doing my Premier League Game Week 2 predictions. Let's get right into it. All right, for this video, I'm going to be using this website, PL Predictor. I think the Premier League official site also has a predictor for like week to week, but I just prefer this one, so this one I'm going to be using, and I'm also going to be just going back and forth with FUTMob so I can take a look at different things. But yeah, I'm going to start with West Ham United versus my team Chelsea, and this is a difficult one after the previous game we drew 0-0 against Palace for a really good side. And West Ham, obviously, I mean, they're low on a lot of people's, I guess, estimations right now. I predicted they'd have a pretty decent season, but obviously they got off to a terrible start losing to Sunderland. So, yeah, I think we're clearly the favorites here, but I don't think it's going to be an easy game. It never is away at West Ham. It's a London derby. So, I think they're going to make it tough for us as usual. If we had won the first game, um, I'd be I'd be more willing to probably predict us to drop points here because I think there's a decent possibility. Our short preseason, it doesn't look like we've really got up to speed yet, obviously in the Premier League, but I think it's already a must-win game for us. Saying that in game week 2 is kind of crazy. And I do think West Ham will still have a good season. I think, judging by their start, it's obviously going to take them a while as well to get going. But I think we can't afford to drop more points in the first two games. And so I'm gonna go with 2-1 to Chelsea. I think it's gonna be pretty close. I think maybe Palmer will score or at least get an assist, and I'm hoping João Pedro gets on the score sheet as well, because obviously he had a really good Club World Cup, and even the short preseason we had, he also looked pretty good. And so hopefully he can get started in the Premier League. Next up, we've got Manchester City versus Spurs. City obviously looked great in their first game, as did Spurs, to be fair. And honestly, I'm already regretting my prediction from the for the overall season. It looks like, I mean, it's crazy based to say off one game, but it looks like City can easily challenge for the league. Um, I don't know. Like if I had to make my predictions over after game week 1, I would probably have them winning the league. I think they look that good. Reinders was incredible. Obviously, Holland got 2. Looks like he's going to be back to his best this season again. Spurs obviously also looked good. Now the thing is, both of them played teams that I would expect to either get relegated or be in a relegation battle. So maybe you can't take too much from that concerning the whole season, but this should be a good game. I think City will probably still have too much for Spurs. As good as Spurs looked, um, obviously they weren't given the kind of test that City are going to provide, and it was the same way around with City. But I just think City are going to be a lot better. I think their defense is looking pretty solid. I Nori was really good in that last game as well. Um, yeah, I just think they're going to have too much for Spurs. I don't think Spurs are going to have the kind of success going forward that they had against Burnley. So I'm going to predict City to win. By how many goals? That's an issue. I think Spurs will get a goal as I think City's defense is probably quite decent this season. I think they'll have a decent defense this season compared to what they've have been the previous years. Because even when they were, at their peak, really, it was still more about their offense than defense. But I think Spurs will get one goal. I think City will still end up relatively comfortable winners. I'm going to go 3-1 Man City. All right, next up, we've got Bournemouth versus Wolves. Now, Bournemouth did lose to Liverpool first game of the season, but they came out with a lot of credit based on how they played. And Wolves can say the same about their loss to Man City. So I think Bournemouth are clearly favorites for this game. Um, will it be that easy? I think obviously many people expect Wolves to either get relegated or be in the relegation battle, and I'm one of those people. So based on all that, you would predict a Bournemouth win. And that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win again. Actually, no, I'm going to give Wolves a go. I think Bournemouth's defense, obviously, that's the part of their team that was kind of gutted. And their left back did look good in the game against Liverpool. So maybe they've got something there. I think Wolves will put up a fight. Like I said, I still like Wolves midfield. These two, I think this is really good. I like their center back here. I think Arias will end up being a decent player, but yeah, I'm not sure about the rest really. Doherty, I think it's crazy. He's still starting in the Premier League. Same with Saad, to be fair. Hoover, I think they actually just got a new right back, so he's not going to be in there for long. And I don't think the signing is going to work out. I think it reminds me a bit too much of Fabio Silva, guy getting a really young player and throwing him in there, like paying big money for him and expecting him to deliver in his first Premier League season. I don't think that's going to work out. So I'm going to go for, yeah, 2-1 Bournemouth win. All right, next up we've got Brentford versus Aston Villa. Two teams that I thought played really poorly the first week. Villa were really lucky not to lose to Newcastle. I think if Newcastle had a striker, they would have won that first game. And same with Villa or Brentford rather. They really got dominated by Nottingham Forest. They were pretty lucky to get that penalty, in my opinion. So I think I'm gonna need to see something from both of these teams to achieve what they'll be hoping to this season. I think that'll probably be like maybe fifth for Villa at least as a good season, and then Brentford are just hoping to not get relegated. I think they do have Damsgaard back. I think it's gonna have to be a big season for like their front four basically if they're gonna have any hope of staying up. And yeah, I'm gonna need to see a lot better from Villa as well. I feel like this lineup I do like John McGinn, but I think putting him out on the wing like they did the first game, I think it stunts their attack a bit too much. And I think I can understand like they want to have Tielemans in there as well. If I was Emery, which I mean obviously he knows a lot more about his team than I do, I feel like maybe putting Rodgers like out on the left instead of McGinn and playing McGinn a bit deeper and just Tielemans up closer to Watkins so he can actually like play these through balls to the wide men might work a bit better. I don't know. But yeah, I still expect Villa to win this comfortably, honestly. Like based on that game against Forest, I can't see Brentford really doing anything. I'm gonna go with a 2-0 win for Aston Villa. All right, next we've got Burnley versus Sunderland. And two promoted teams that had different fortunes first week. Burnley obviously lost to Spurs quite easily. Sunderland beat West Ham very easily. That was relatively surprising for me. Even though you kind of expect a promoted team in their first game, especially if it's at home, to put up a bit of a fight. Like I think a 3-0 surprised most people. And this is kind of a weird one because obviously Burnley finished above Sunderland in the championship last season and pretty comfortably as well. I think the main difference now is when Sunderland spent a ton of money in the transfer window compared to Burnley. And so yeah, I think they've just got a better squad comparatively. However, when I think about this game and I think about how it's gonna go, I really can't see anything other than a 0-0. I feel like Burnley still will kind of have feeling somewhat of superiority based on their last season against in the championship with Sunderland. So I feel like they're not going to be kind of dominated or I guess afraid of Sunderland in that sense. That being said, I still don't see where their goals are coming from. So I think they'll defend well. But yeah, I think it's going to be a relatively boring game. I'm going to stick with 0-0 here. So I can just do that. All right, Arsenal versus Leeds. Arsenal last week against United. I think it's fair to say they got relatively lucky with the win. I mean, the goal came off a corner with Bayindir. I mean, that it is what it is there. But United, should I say, should have definitely scored at least one in that game. But Arsenal got away with it. Leeds also, I think, did they beat Everton? Yeah, I think they beat Everton. It was a late penalty, right? So again, two teams that started off with a win. That Leeds result did surprise me, to be fair, but they played pretty well. I thought Everton were a lot poorer than I was expecting. But I think Arsenal at home, first game of the season at the Emirates, I think they're gonna have a relatively comfortable game. I think Gyökeres will probably get off the mark here, and despite Leeds having a decent first game, I don't think this one will be particularly close. I'm gonna say 3. I kind of want to go 4, but I'm going to say 3-0 Arsenal. All right, next up, we've got Palace versus Nottingham Forest, which I wouldn't be surprised if this kind of has the feeling of a mini rivalry given their like European situation this summer. But Palace have just played a game in Europe on Thursday, and they played like a decent amount of their starters as well. I think only two of their starters didn't play, and obviously they have lost as a now to Arsenal. So Chelsea were the only team that faced them with Eze. I don't know how that's fair, but yeah, Forest obviously looked really good first game of the season. They were against Brentford, that is a caveat. Palace also defended really well against Chelsea. So I think both teams have shown good performances to start the season. So what's going to happen here? I think without Eze, Crystal Palace will struggle a bit offensively. I think their defense is still very solid, obviously. Um, they're at home, so they'll probably be able to get a goal. I think Forest have looked good as well. So part of me thinks a nil-nil was possible, but I'm gonna go with a 1-1 draw here. I think both teams are pretty evenly matched. All right, Everton versus Brighton. Brighton looked pretty good in their week one game against Fulham. They did concede basically with the last kick of the game or something like that. So drop points there. Everton looked quite poor against Leeds. They really could not get anything going offensively, which was a bit surprising for me with Ndiaye. I think Dewsbury Hall was a good signing. Beto, I think at this point, if you're trying to move forward, I think for Moyes, he kind of needs to just throw Tierno Barry in there and see what happens. I'm hoping Grealish will come in for this game, but my guess is he'll probably come off the bench again. So I expect Everton, honestly, at their new stadium. It's a really tough one to call because, like I said, at the new stadium, I think it'll be jumping. I think the fans will really be up for it. But Brighton, I mean, they're just not a team you can really write off. So I'm gonna go with a draw here. I think 2-2 is probably what I go with. I think it's gonna be a good game, and yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with. All right, Fulham versus United. This is an interesting one because obviously United did play well that first game against Arsenal. Didn't get anything to show for it. Fulham were losing for a decent amount of game against Brighton. Got a point last second. And I think for United, it's obviously going to be the challenge to keep the performance levels that they showed against Arsenal, but actually get something in return. Fulham, they still have not done any business. Apparently, they're keeping Rodrigo Muniz now. It looked like they were going to lose him, but he appears to be staying. They still haven't brought anyone in, I don't think, apart from like the backup goalkeeper, which I think is an issue. I'm expecting Sheshko to start now for United, and I think they'll probably still play well, like in comparison to what they did against Arsenal. And it's just Fulham. I think they're gonna have a bad season. And I think it's gonna show itself in this game as well. I'm gonna go for a 2-1 United win. I think it will be close. I think Fulham will put up a bit of a fight, but I think United will win. Probably give themselves some momentum to start the season. All right, and last but not least, Newcastle versus Liverpool. Isak Saga hanging right over this one. Who knows how that's going to end? At first I thought there was no chance he was going to leave, and I thought he was almost definitely going to leave. And now Newcastle have said he's going to stay. So I have no idea how this one is going to end up turning out. But Newcastle at St. James's Park is never going to be easy. They're obviously going to put up a test. I think they're going to be even more hyped up because of the Isak situation. Liverpool obviously looked great going forward. First game against Bournemouth, their defense not so much. So I do kind of expect it to be probably a high scoring game. That being said, Newcastle did kind of dominate a lot of the game against Aston Villa, but lack of their striker, they couldn't get on the score sheet. So will they be able to do that against Liverpool? I think Liverpool Frimpong did just get hurt. He's going to be out for a few weeks. Bradley's there, but I don't think he's actually going to be able to play as of yet. So I wonder what the right back situation is going to be for that. It is a tough one, obviously. Liverpool are still favorites, but like I said, I do expect Newcastle to put up a fight. But I just don't think they're going to be able to score the amount of goals they need to win this game. I think they need to get a striker done ASAP, whether it's, I don't know, I think Jackson is the person I've seen the most linked with. I don't know who else they're going to get. I doubt Villa would sell Watkins. So I'm really not sure what the solution is going to be for Newcastle if it's not Jackson. But I do think they'll get one, but I don't think it'll be enough. I think Liverpool will get two, probably maybe even three, and yeah, I think they're gonna win again. And yeah, that is gonna do it for my predictions today. Let me know what you thought of it. Let me know what your predictions are for this week. If you disagreed with anything I said, let me know. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.